Do you like the look of fancy cards like shakers but just don't like the fuss? Hi, I'm Jess from JessCrafts.com and I'm here to help you make the most of your crafty supplies and time. So let's get making. Today I want to make a simple, elegant shaker card, but I want to do it with a lot less fuss. I am just not the kind of person who makes a lot of super fancy cards. I don't necessarily use a lot of shakers or sequins or that kind of thing. I really like to kind of let the pattern paper do the talking. But I also, it's good to branch out from time to time. So today I'm going to show you a shaker card that's incredibly simple. I have this mosaic background die from scrapbook.com as well as this hello background die. And if you're watching this video the day it's released, it is part of a live stream bundle deal where you'll get both background dies. And so you can recreate this card or another one. And I cut the mosaic die out of gray and the hello die out of black. However, even though this is an A2 size card front, my second piece of black paper was just a little bit less than an A2, and that's okay because I'm just going to be layering it up. So that's something to keep in mind, is if you're just going to be cutting a second one to add a little bit of depth or dimension, you don't need to have pretty edges on it. So that is, it's hard to see that it's a little bit smaller, but it is. You could certainly save all of these little bits and make shaker card stuff out of this, or make a design out of this, like filling it on another card. If I'm being honest, I'm not super likely to do that, but I'll hold on to them for a little bit, and if it happens, it happens. That one didn't come out, so I'll use my scissor to cut that one. Sometimes you just get like a little air bubble in your plate or something. And so what we're gonna do is glue these two hellos together and then glue it on top of this background die. And the reason I say this is a very not fussy way to do it is by having this really thick border around our sentiment die or our top layer. It's going to allow me to create our shaker really quickly because I have a really thick border to work with. When I glue these two together, I'm going to focus on making sure the hello is lined up, because that is going to be the hardest thing to fix if it isn't. If I make sure the edges are lined up, it should all work, but if things happen and the hello needs to be lined up, everything else I can kind of trim up and shift around, but I want to make sure that, because that's kind of a focal point on my card, that's where I prioritize. And then I'll again add some glue to the back of this and place my layered background die. If for any reason they don't line up exactly, like maybe you have dies from two different manufacturers or something, then you will be able to trim up the edges a little bit to fix that, because again, you have that thick border. That's really the key for this card. I cut some scrapbook.com adhesive sheets into 1/4" strips because that's a little bit less than the border that is around the hello die that we're working with. And so it will secure the acetate or a clear sheet really strongly because it's a really strong adhesive, and it will also help to keep the mosaic glued to the hello die. So I will just peel back my strip. These do all need to be trimmed just a bit smaller. I used a 6" adhesive sheet, but this is also a great way to use small bits of adhesive sheets that you have left over from other projects. So we have our panel that is 2 layers of black hello, a layer of gray mosaic, and then a layer of the acetate or clear transparency. And then we're going to have it layered on top, but the shaker bits are going to be in between. So this is a pattern paper from the Sunny Lane collection. There's a lot of bright, beautiful patterns in this collection, but I just wanted to try something a little bit, again, just out of my wheelhouse, because I do tend to like really bright cards. Although I recently did make another card that was had a lot of black and white in it. So maybe I'm just in a phase or a mood lately. But they're still like pretty cards. It's not like, moody, like dark. And so we're going to want to cut some adhesive tape, or foam tape from scrapbook.com so that it is the length of the shaker or the background panel here. And because I know that I have that 1/4" border to work with, I'm actually going to be able to apply all of this directly to my background paper. And I think that's going to be easier for me to put this panel onto my background with the sequins there than to try to put the foam tape sequins here and then try to center this. We'll find out. I wanted to try this because that is a step of the shaker card process that I can find kind of frustrating. You can do 1 or 2 layers of foam tape. 2 layers of foam tape will be quite thick in this instance, but will make sure that your shaker bits really move around a lot. However, then it kind of makes it a card that you probably want to hand deliver because it'll be quite thick. You can send those things to the mail. You can use a padded envelope, additional postage, that kind of thing, but just know that once you get to a certain thickness, that is going to exclude it from just throwing a postage stamp on there. If you find that your sequins tend to sort of like stick to the foam adhesive wall, you can come in with a little powder. Make sure that you haven't removed the adhesive from the top before you come in with the powder, because the powder could stick to that adhesive and then it won't stick to your card. You could also, if you were going to be laying it from this side, and you can even do this with my method as well, you could put a little foam adhesive behind the letters to support it a little bit more. Other people do like to just kind of cut many, many layers of a background die for a shaker, but in this case, then they're gonna have to be all trapped in between the mosaic pieces and they won't shake nearly as much. So I'm gonna try it this way today. And I'll get my sequins in there. I know some people also like to glue a sequin or 2 down so that they won't all fall to the bottom. These are just some black glitter sequins. You can decide how full you like your card to be. When you make it a little bit more full, it is also less likely to shake around as well. Like there's more room for everything to shake. I'm also kind of going through and just checking to see if there are any imperfections in the sequin mix. Some sequin mixes do have that, so especially if you kind of like to get budget sequins, they're a little bit more likely to have an imperfection. So now I can lay this hello layered panel on top of that pattern paper, and it's all come together with a lot less fuss than might typically be thought of for a shaker card. And if I didn't lay things down perfectly, I can go in, and what I will do here is just take my scissor and trim up this background panel just a little bit. So that pattern paper that's in the background, it's perfectly A2 sized, and so all this will fit nicely on the front of a card. But I don't have to worry if I didn't perfectly center things because it's all trimmed up like that. So go around, and then we are ready to put this onto a card base. We really like the look of those big background shaker cards that have become much more popular, but you're wondering how to do it simply. These big border dies. Scrapbook.com, not only in addition to the live stream special if you're seeing this live, but they have some other ones. There's a happy birthday one as well. So they're definitely worth a look because they're gonna save you a lot of the fuss of making sure everything is perfectly lined up and all that stuff on a card. It's really gonna go much faster to make a shaker card. If you like this video, here's another video where you find more ideas for enjoying your crafty time and supplies. Let me know you like this video to share it to your crafty community. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next template tutorial, and check the video description for product links. See you in the next video.